Today I'm going to go over the third grade math task for Unit 3 using 4 operations. One main skill of third grade is understanding multiplication. When we're looking at a multiplication equation, we need to think about the number of groups that we have and how many items are in each group. So thinking about 6 times 4. In this first example, this first picture right here, we have equal groups. So we have 6 groups of 4 in each one. And that gives us our total of 24. Over here we've drawn an array with rows going side to side and columns going up and down. We have 4 rows with 6 in each one, which we would call this a 4 by 6. And then we get a total of 24 as well. The next skill that we need to look at is to understand 2-digit and 3-digit addition. Make sure that you add your ones place first, then your tens, and then your hundreds if there is a hundreds place value. When you're looking at each place value, if there is more than 9 in that place value, make sure that you regroup. So I'm going to give you a second to look at this one right here. And go ahead and solve that one and see if you have more than 9, make sure you are regrouping. Okay, so when I'm looking at this one, I have 8 plus 3. I know that 8, 9, 10, 11. So a lot of us, this strategy helps to put the 11 off to the side. Put 1 down here and then regroup, putting that 10 over in the tens place. 5 and 1 is 6, and 3 more is 9. So I have 91. Okay, looking over here, I have 2 3-digit numbers, and if I can see in my ones place right away, I'm going to have more than 9. So make sure that you are regrouping. Over here, 7 plus 8, because I want to start with my ones place, I'm going to look at 7 plus 7, I know is 14, and then I do 1 more to give me 15. I'm going to bring the 5 into my ones place down here, keeping everything very lined up and neat, and my 1 over here on top. Because I had to regroup, I had more than 9 in that place value, and you can't have more than 9. 1 plus 9 is 10, and 3 more is 13, so I'm going to take the 3 here and the 1 up on top. 1 and 9 is 10. 5 more is 15. So this actually took me into the thousands place because the 5 would go here and the 1 would go up here. And you bring that down. So you have 1,535. Okay, let's look at understanding 2-digit and 3-digit subtraction. This will be used later in the lesson as well. Always make sure you're subtracting the ones place first and regrouping if you do not have enough on the top to be able to subtract the bottom. So don't forget this saying, more on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. So looking here, right away I have less on the bottom, so that's perfect. You want to have less on the bottom, so you can do 7 minus 5. Go ahead and subtract our 87 minus 45. I can do 7 minus 5 and get 2. 8 minus 4 and get 4. So 87 minus 45 is 42. When we come over here to this 3-digit subtraction equation, it looks like we're going to have some regrouping that we're going to have to do because there is more on the floor, meaning more on the bottom. So I'm going to have to, more on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. So there were 2 10s there, now there's only going to be 1 10. And then there was only 6 here, but I brought 10 over to the 6. So this becomes 16. 16 minus 8 equals 8. 1 minus 5? I want you to think, can I do that? The answer is no, you cannot do that. 1 minus 5, that doesn't work. If I only have 1 pencil, I can't give you 5 pencils. So there is more on the floor here. We have to go next door and get 10 more. That 9 becomes an 8. This 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. Okay, one last thing that we're going to be looking at to make sure that we understand in this task is knowing what a table is. So this is a table to help us show our information. We've got types of shirts, plain shirts, and then with print shirts. So instead of having a bunch of information all on your paper, you're going to be able to organize it in this table. So Sweet Tea's tees. Sweet Tea wants to buy shirts for his fingerboard team. The team will have between 8 and 10 members. Everyone should get 2 different shirts. Go ahead and underline that 2 different shirts. $50 setup fee to print. I'm actually going to highlight that because I don't want to forget it later. So make sure we understand, and you can, if you don't have a highlighter, just go ahead and underline it or circle it. $50 setup fee to print. We're going to need to know that later on. Add $2 to the cost of each shirt to print on it. So print is $2 each. A short sleeve is $6, a long sleeve is $8, and a collared shirt is $7. Sweet Tea can spend up to $225, up to. So go ahead and circle that. It is okay to have money left over. So a couple things that we're going to need to do are tell what kind of shirts and how many we're going to order. Decide whether or not to print on the shirts, and give the total cost and amount of money left over. Which we're going to do this on the next couple pages, so we're not going to write everything on this page. You're going to need the next couple pages ready to go so we can continue on with this math task. Okay, looking at Sweet Tea's solution. So they've already come up with one solution, and then we're going to actually go into the next page after this and create our own solution. So they want us to pick between 8 and 10 team members. So Sweet Tea went ahead and chose 9 members, and he doesn't want to have too many extra shirts. So short sleeve, he's created this table. Remember I told you we were going to use a table, and he just created it showing short sleeve shirts, collared shirts, and long sleeve shirts. Remember, we can't spend more than $225, but we can have some left over, and we cannot forget that $50 setup fee. So right here he's gone 9 times 6. That 6 comes from looking at how much each short sleeve cost that was plain. The $7 came from each collared shirt that was plain with no print on it. And then the long sleeve was $8 with no print. So multiplying each one of those by 9 because he chose 9 members. So the 9 times 6 was 54. The 9 times 7 being 63, and 9 times 8 being 72. So this is where it comes in that we needed to know our multiplication. Over here, the cost went up $2 each shirt because there was print on it, and they said that it was $2 extra for shirts with print. So he went ahead and did all the possibilities of the shirts for all 9 members, and then he was able to try to figure out which combinations we could add together to get less than 225 because he could not go over 225. So cost of shirts, he chose $81 and $90 and got the 171. So the 81 came from, he chose, let me go ahead and circle that for you. He chose collared shirts with print, and then $90 is where he chose long sleeve shirts with print. So you could have done whatever combinations you want, but you have to make sure that you have less than the 225. So then he's trying to figure out, okay, 171 plus the $50 setup fee was 221. But Sweet Tea felt like that was a little too close. Could you still do this possibility though? And he's only spent $221. So is that okay? Yes. But he wanted to figure out something where he was going to have a little bit more money left over. So going back, he chose collared shirts with print. So that was that 81. And he went ahead and changed this choice to a smaller, so that way he had spent less money there. So he chose plain short sleeve shirts. So instead of going with the long sleeve that had print, he went short sleeve plain. Now, don't forget, they had to make sure, so going back to this page before, had to make sure that everyone got 2 different shirts. It didn't matter whether they were printed or not. It's just your choice of up to $225. So he went ahead and did the 81 and the 54. But don't forget that $50 setup fee. When he added them all together, he got $185. Now I want you to think, how are you going to figure out how much money he has left over if he has $225 to spend and $185 that he spent? How much are we going to have left over? Down here we had our total that we had to spend, which was $225, and subtracted what we spent, which was $185, and got our $40. So guys, this is where it comes in that we needed to know how to add our 2-digit numbers, and then we also needed to subtract. There's 3-digit numbers there to subtract. Put them up and down if that helps you. Okay, on to page 146. This is the same problem that we're looking at, but now it's time to have your solutions. We're going to plan how you're going to solve it. Different than how Sweet Tea did, because he chose 9 members. I want you to make sure that you're choosing between 8 and 10, but maybe try to choose 8 or 10 since Sweet Tea chose 9 members. So A, how many team members will you buy for? B, do you want to have any money left over? If so, about how much? So remember, Sweet Tea's first part that he did, he only had like $4 that he was going to have left. And he didn't want to do that. He wanted more left over. So how much do you want left over, if any? Let's look on to how you could solve this problem. Looking at the solve it, find a different solution for Sweet Tea's problem. Now make sure you are finding a different solution, because there are multiple different ones we could do here. Show all of your work on a separate sheet of paper. So you can have this paper in front of you, and you can have a piece of like lined paper or computer paper, construction paper, whatever you have there at home to have next to you. So we're going to look at this table again. You may use the word bank if it helps you, and then these sentence starters to help you as well. These parts are not something that you have to do, but if it will help you to solve your problem, then I think that it would be a great way to solve this. So looking back here, you're going to want this in front of you because that's going to help you with the prices. Come up with your table, which I would use this table right here, to be able to help you solve how many people you want. So let's say you chose 8 people that you're going to buy for. So you're going to do 8 times whatever a plain shirt costs. So let's say you're going to do collared shirt and short sleeve. So I'm making sure that I have 2 different types of shirts like the problem asked me to do. And then have your multiplication equations in here. I'm doing 8 just because Sweet Tea did 9 and I want to change it up. I don't want to do the same as Sweet Tea. And then figure out how much a plain collared shirt is. how much a plain short sleeve shirt is. Same thing over here, a shirt, a collared shirt with print, and then a short sleeve shirt with print, and you're going to multiply it by 8 or by 10, whatever you choose to do. Now make sure when you're multiplying, you find the answer to each one of these multiplication equations, and then your total cannot go further than $225. As you work through the problem, make sure you discuss these questions with a partner, whether it's mom, dad, anybody that's around, or just if you're working on it alone. I just want you to be thinking about what are the numbers in the problems and what do they mean, and what is your plan to solve this problem. Look back at Sweet Teas if you're confused at this point, because you're making sure that you do not have more than $225. And don't forget your $50 setup fee. These sentence starters right here, they don't necessarily need to be filled in. It's more to help you think about how you can work through this problem. The cost to buy collared shirts, plain collared shirts, is 8 times. And then you would go back and figure out, oh, a plain collared shirt is $7, one of them. So it'd be 8 times 7. After you have solved that task, they're going to go on to a new task for you. It's very similar to the last one, but this will help you kind of understand it a little bit more. We've got page 148 is what we're looking at, and we're going to look at fingerboard parts. Sweet Tea wants to have lots of extra fingerboard parts. He wants members to be able to mix and match parts to make different boards. So he's got decks, trucks, wheels, and decks are $8 each, available in yellow, red, pink, purple, orange, and green. Trucks are $6 for a set of 2, available in pink, red, blue, black, and white. Wheels are $7 for a set of 4, available in yellow, red, blue, black, and white. It says put the parts together to make your own board. Sweet Tea can spend up to $160 on a fingerboard parts. What should he buy? So he can have up to 160. So go ahead and make sure you circle that, because that's going to be pretty important. And it says up to. Okay, this is going to be pretty important. $6 for a set of trucks, $7 for a set of 4 wheels, and $8 for a deck. Okay, so remember, we want to have a lot of extra fingerboard parts, and we're going to work through this together. Same kind of process. Go ahead and on a blank sheet of paper off to the side on your packet, make a list of the parts to buy. Include the numbers of different parts and the colors. Tell why you chose the parts you did. Find the total cost to buy the parts. Tell how much money is left. And you also may want to use the problem-solving tips to get started, which are over here, similar to the last problem. Here are some questions that can help guide you through it. How many of each part do you need to make one fingerboard? So I want you to let's think about that together. How many of each part do you need? So going back to this page, how many decks do you need to make one fingerboard? 1. How many trucks do you need to make one fingerboard? Because look, they've got 1 truck there and 1 truck there, so it looks like just 2. And then how many wheels do you need? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that kind of helps guide you through. We only need 1 deck, which is that cost, 2 trucks, which is what they're selling them for as a package, $6, and 4 wheels, which is what they're selling them for as $7. And do you want to have more of one kind of part, and why? So you need to think like, is something going to break? Do you want extra wheels just in case? What if your board breaks? And now fingerboard is very similar to skateboard, so they're just they're very little and they're doing them with boards. And he says he wants to have a lot of extra parts. So he wants to have lots of extra fingerboard parts. So as long as you can make one, you can choose how much extra you have, as long as you don't spend more than $160. You may want to use a table or an organized list. I think a table would be extremely helpful right now. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to get this organized and make sure you pause this so you have extra time as well. Now I'm just working on the table down here that I think will be helpful to you. Okay, and then thinking back, decks were $8. So it's going to be 8 times however many you choose to get. Wheels were $7. And the trucks were $6 for the set. So for example, and you don't really need this part down here. For example, if you chose, let's say we're going to just do 10. Okay, so let's think if I do 6 times 10, 7 times 10. So I think I'm going to get 10 of each one of these. This is just random. Okay. You're going to have to kind of play with the numbers to make sure that you have enough money and you have enough parts and everything that you're going to need to have those extras that he has suggested. So 6 times 10 is $60. Okay, that would be on trucks. Let's look at the wheels. 7 times 10 is $70. And then 8 times 10 is $80. But now I've got all these prices here. What do I need to do with them to figure out my total number now of how much money I'm spending? Now I need to add them. So now I've got 60 plus 70 plus 80. Okay, looking at my ones place, 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. Now I've got these pretty high numbers over here that I can add together. I know that 6 plus 6 is 12, and 1 more is 13. And then I've got 13 plus 8, which would give me 21. Can I have 10 of each part? The answer is no, because I could not spend over $160. So please make sure, play with your numbers. You're going to have to take away, maybe you go to less decks, maybe you go to less wheels. You're really going to have to play with that to understand. You can't do 10 of each one because you've spent way too much money that you don't have. Okay, page 150. This is another problem with a very similar approach. We're looking at a skate park. Sweet Tea has $80 left, so this is just a random situation. It's okay if you did not have $80 left, but he has $80 left after buying items for his team. He wants to buy at least 3 different items for the skate park that he is making. Here are the items Sweet Tea is looking at. So he's looking at a table for $24, a bench for $15, an L-shaped box for $15, another box for $18, a pallet for $10, and a rail for $22. What items should Sweet Tea buy? Now remember, we only have $80. So you can only total $80. So if I go ahead and start playing with this, I can put numbers up and down. I'm going to play with this 10 because 10 is a friendly number to me and that's helpful. 15 and 15 is 30. So I can kind of go, all right, I want 15 and 15, which gives me 30. But I also said I like that 10. Okay, but then I can also add the 10. And that gives me 40. But I want to keep spending because I have $80 that I can spend. So just kind of keep in mind, I'm not going to go solve this for you, but on this one, think about what steps did you take to get your solution and which operations did you need to solve them. Okay, this is another problem, very similar to the last 3 that we've been doing. Page 151. Sweet Tea wants to buy pieces of grip tape for the team. The tape sticks to the deck of the fingerboard to make it less slippery. Sweet Tea thinks that each of the 9 members of his team needs at least 4 pieces of grip tape. So remember, he has 9 members on his team, and each one of those needs at least 4 pieces of grip tape. So what would we do here? 9 and 4 to make, how many pieces of grip tape would we have altogether? Because 1 piece of grip tape is $1. Or should he buy 5 and get 1 piece free? How many pieces of grip tape should Sweet Tea buy? I want you to think of how you would figure out how many pieces of grip tape we would need, because it says at least, so we can have more than 4 per person. But what is going to be the cheapest way, the best way to do this? So looking at our solve it, decide how many pieces of grip tape Sweet Tea should buy for each team member. Tell why you chose this number. Tell the total of pieces needed. Find a way to buy groups of 5 or separate pieces to get this total, and give the final cost. After you complete the task, choose one of these questions to discuss with a partner, or you can write it down. I'm sure you could email your teacher the answer. You could tell your mom, your dad, your brother. And it says, make an argument. What reasons did you have for your decision about the number of pieces to buy? Or what was the first step in finding the solution? Why did you start this way? Now remember, the trick here is 1 piece is $1, or should you buy 5 and get 1, and you can buy 5 and get 1 free. That's the end of our week 3 lesson, or unit 3 lesson. If you have any questions, please email your teacher. I hope this was helpful as I went through it, but make sure that you can go back in the video online. This will be accessible, and you can pause it, come back to it, however you need to do it, and do it in a couple of days. But refer to this and always go back if you need to. Have a wonderful day.